Hello and welcome to Living Life with Purpose. I'm your host, Phil Foster. In the book of James, chapter 5, James makes several statements, and in, I think it's like verse 13 there, it says, if you're going through a tough time, you need to stop and pray, and if you're going through a good season, you need to give God praise. And the problem for many people, it's sort of like they're stuck in the middle, or maybe in a rut. They never get to the place where it's bad enough for them to pray, and they never get to a place where life's going good enough they want to give God praise. And God doesn't want us to be in the middle. He wants us to live a life of praise, to enjoy the abundant life that God has promised us, and to know our Father through prayer. You see, a lot of people want to kind of almost like revert back and live under the law. You see, God gave the law in the Old Testament to show us how bad sin was, to show us how when Jesus would come and God's grace would be made available, how necessary it was for all of us to embrace the grace of God, because the law will show us not only how sinful and how bad sin was, but how we had no ability really to live a life that would be perfect. None of us are ever going to live a perfect life. Only one person did that. Of course, that was Jesus. So the thing we have to be careful of is when we talk about grace, we don't want to get the idea, a little thought bubble in our head saying, hey, well, just because of grace, I can do anything I want. Paul said in Romans that just the opposite of that. He said, where sin abounds, grace does much more abound. And Paul understood his need for grace. And then he went on to say, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm almost out of time. He went on to say, just because God's grace is in your life doesn't give you an excuse to go out and sit around and talk nasty and filthy and or go out and do any kind of sin, because the grace of God can cover all that for you. No, contrary to that, Paul was saying, because of God's grace, because we're in a relationship, and because not only does God love us, but we love Him, we're going to do the opposite of that. We're going to try to please our Heavenly Father. We're going to live a life that's pleasing to God, and we're going to walk in the light of the Scriptures. Listen, I'm going to have to cut it short here today because I'm all out of time. But I just want you to think about that. Don't get stuck in the middle. Just think about it and give God praise today. Until we get together tomorrow, God bless, and hey, have a great day.